Is it this? This is it. Okay, share. Let's bring this up. You know, hold on one second. I got to see what the layout looks like. Okay, good enough. My head will be small. Now, let me go back to the window. Back to the window. Open it up. Twitter. Here we go. This is my pin tweet, but I want to get to one. Justin Trudeau has turned Canada into an international laughingstock. Let's just see it, by the way, because we haven't seen it yet. Listen to when he does this.
Emergencies Act would be our third principle. We were very clear that the use of the Emergencies Act would be limited in time. When we invoked it...
By the way, clear that it would be limited in time does not mean capricious and arbitrary. And he's confounding concepts here.
It would be in place. We invoked it. When we invoked it, it would be in place for up to 30 days.
30. There's no H in 30.
As soon as possible.
Oh, yes.
We've held updates and briefs with ministers and officials.
It would be in effect for 30 days or revoked as soon as possible. Is that what he just said? Hold on one second.
In place for up to 30 days.
To 30 days.
But we said that we would lift it as soon as possible. We've held updates and briefs with ministers and officials every day, often multiple times a day. And today, after careful consideration...
How much careful consideration could you have had while the debates were still ongoing? You voted on this 2 days ago. How much? You cannot have careful consideration within such a short period of time. One might ask whether or not you had any careful consideration before invoking it in the first place.
Ready to confirm that the situation is no longer an emergency. Therefore, the federal...
It's no longer an emergency. Every Liberal and NDP who voted for this 2 days ago, in the exact same circumstances, the protest was over. All of those buffoons, out of whom Justin Trudeau made outright fools, 2 days ago said, it's still an emergency. We don't know if the convoy is going to come back, so we need to justify using the Emergencies Act as a preventative measure and not a reactionary measure. Yep. You are all discredited fools, politically speaking.
The federal government will be ending the use of the Emergencies Act. We are confident that existing laws and bylaws are now sufficient to keep people safe.
We are convinced that they are now sufficient to keep it. When were they not sufficient? David Amber put out a tweet this morning, the lawyer in Ottawa, saying everyone who's charged with something was charged under the criminal code, which existed before the Emergencies Act was declared. What is different now? Hold on.
Of course, are now sufficient and bylaws. Existing confident.
We're now confident
that existing laws and bylaws are now sufficient to keep people safe.
They are now sufficient to keep people. When were they ever not? That warranted the Emergencies Act, because that's what your argument was predicated on, and that's what all those other fool Liberal and NDP politicians justified, used as their justification to vote yes for this. My God, they don't, and I don't know if they understand it. I don't know if they understand it.
Of course, we'll continue to be there to support provincial and local authorities if and when needed.
Oh. It's like, it's straight. Oh, by the way, just this is a CBC tweet. This is great. CBC's van slid off the road and got hit and got stuck in a ditch beside the protesters' camp in Arnprior. I was there, actually. A demonstrator named Tyson Garneau, wearing a Defund the CBC hat, pulled us out knowing we were stuck. We were CBC journalists. He said he'd never leave anyone stuck like that. That is what is called integrity. That is what integrity is. And I believe I said something. They've always been good, peace-loving people in the protests. This is just more incontrovertible evidence of that truth. But that's...
Of all people, the Minister of Justice, of all people, the one who is supposed to defend the rights of Canadians, said this. Well, I think
this is like 3 days ago.
You are a member of a pro-Trump movement donating to this type of thing, then you ought to be worried. Once again, colleagues, what does that mean? Is the minister telling us that he is going after the assets of anyone who does not share his dislike for the former president of the United States? I find this very...
By the way, the Minister of Justice, remember what Justin Trudeau did to the last Minister of Justice that he appointed who did not adhere to his corrupt demands to not prosecute SNC-Lavalin. It's Jody Wilson-Raybould, the first Indigenous woman Mojag Minister of Justice. He fired her. Oh, he found a new one, at least, who will do his bidding for him. The guy actually said, the Minister of Justice, well, if you donated thousands, if you're a Trump supporter and you donated thousands of dollars to this, you should be afraid. Live in fear for your political beliefs. That's what the Minister of Justice said to Canadians.
Very disturbing that in Canada, the Minister of Justice can go around threatening his fellow citizens like this. It is gravely concerning. And since he made those threats to those who do not share his views, he never felt the need to retract them. This is exactly the kind of wedge politics that MP Joel Lightbound warned us about.
I got it. Joel Lightbound warned us about it and then still voted for it. So, Joel, you sold your soul. You have no integrity. You gave a good speech. You sold yourself out. And now Justin Trudeau made an idiot out of you.
And these are the words of our so-called Minister of Justice. How far this office has degenerated since Jody Wilson-Raybould was the minister.
Unbelievable. And then I'll just bring up one more before stopping the screen. This was from yesterday. Where is it? Where is what I said? Here we go. This is mine. This is the one I like. If the rumors are true, I don't know who that is, that Justin Trudeau is revoking his declaration of the Emergencies Act, he just made absolute fools of everyone in the Liberal Party and NDP who voted for it on Monday. Jagmneet Singh, you were a cretin to support the measure, and now everyone knows. Mic drop. And let me just pick up my screen again. Let me see something here. Derek Tickler says, love you. Okay, thank you very much. Can you imagine the Minister of Justice saying that? And people are supposed to have faith in the Minister of Justice? Wedge politics is an understatement. This is nuclear politics. Did everyone forget SNC-Lavalin? No, that's what we're talking about. Jody Wilson-Raybould. Trudeau pressured her not to criminally prosecute for corruption. SNC-Lavalin, which is like a international conglomerate construction advisory company for corruption. I think it was in Libya. Justin Trudeau wanted her to enter into a deferred prosecution agreement, basically to settle with them and not criminally prosecute for corruption. And she said, no, I'm going to do it anyhow. And after his office exercised what the ethics commissioner deemed to be unlawful pressure or unethical, undue pressure, he demoted her. At least he found an ethical Minister of Justice that's willing to carry out his bidding for him. If you're a Trump supporter, whatever the hell that means, since Trump has not been president for what year are we in? Over a year, and you don't, and you should be afraid. Citizens of this country should be afraid of the government of this country because of their political beliefs. Where has that happened before? Fitting this happens on Anti-Bully Day. Oh, and he rescinds it, and it's like Orwell's 1984. It's like mid-sentence, every argument that they used to justify this measure is now the exact opposite. They said it 2 days ago. The prospect of this occurring again is a sufficient risk. We lacked the resources. We lacked the law to do it. Nothing has changed since they voted on this, the House of Commons on Monday, and said nothing has changed. Except now he says, we have the required laws, and we know there's no longer an emergency, after you just blew 4 days of full-time debate by House of Commons and members of Parliament. You absolute destroyer of a nation. Now, I never, ever would have thought one politician could single-handedly cause so much damage to a nation internally and externally. Thank you for what you do, Viva. You inspired me to interview anti-mandate protesters for myself. I've got 38 of them on my channel so far. Most common story, their family is divided by disagreement. JB Morrison, congratulations. And I say, great. And so long as, look, I'm a little naive still. I know there are some bad actors out there, but I'm still convinced so long as you treat them with respect, even if you disagree with their ideas, they'll be happy to talk, most of them, unless their ringleader in the back doesn't want them talking to you because, they might say something that might get them canceled by their own crowd. Members of Parliament were tricked into endorsing the emergency decree by Justin, betrayed their trust. Maybe they will think twice when Justin faces a vote of no confidence. He cannot get out of politics fast enough. And his henchwoman too, Chrystia Freeland. So why is Tamara Lich in jail now? If there's no risk and no need for Emergency Act, look, she'll have the political tide and the political pressure will have to sway. She's in jail for, I mean, you know, Amber put out a piece that it's not black and white. I could envision context that could have, could have sold a judge on not releasing her if Tamara Lich says, forget you, no matter what you say, I'm going to go right back to Ottawa and do it again. Maybe, but like I said yesterday, I would have let her do that. And then you're not just flagrantly political by detaining someone for going on a week on mischief charges.